Welcome to part 2 of a series of 4 on the 4 types of sentences. Hopefully you've already looked at the simple sentence, because let me encourage you, if you have not and you're kind of jumping to this video, that's fine, but I would strongly encourage you to go back and review the simple sentence, because believe it or not, there's a contradiction in that description, simple sentence, because sometimes a simple sentence is not as simple as we all like to think it is. Alright, so now what I'm going to talk to you about today is the second type of sentence, which is a compound sentence. It happens to be one of my favorite sentences to not only talk about but to teach. Now, the compound sentence actually, and we're actually looking at, let me go back one. Okay. The compound sentence is actually the joining of two simple sentences together. That's sort of the, I can tell you that it's two independent clauses joined together, but a lot of times when I use that kind of language, students get a little lost. But essentially what I want you to do, what's more important for you to know, is that what we're doing, we are taking two complete independent sentences that could stand on their own, and joining them together. And my job in this presentation is to work and explain to you the 3 ways in which those sentences can be joined together. There are 3 different ways we can do it, okay? And the great news for you is that if you learn how to join these sentences together, a lot of your writing problems are going to go away. Well, not so much writing in terms of organizing an essay, but your sentence structure issues are going to go away, a lot of them, because when you learn how to write and craft the compound sentence, you're also learning punctuation. You're learning how to punctuate these sentences, so you can help yourself to rid your papers of fragments and run-ons, a lot of them, not completely, but it will help you tremendously. So let's take a look at method number 1. I like to call method number 1 the method that most of us are more comfortable with. It's the one that you've been doing since about the 2nd or 3rd grade. Okay? It doesn't mean that it's a 2nd and 3rd grade kind of sentence, because it can be kind of complicated, but you learned it around that age. Okay? So you have a simple sentence and you're joining it. And the way that you join method number 1, you join one sentence that has a subject and a verb and a complete thought to another sentence that has a subject and a verb and a complete thought. But here's the thing that you need to understand. You have to join. Method number 1 tells us to join the sentence with a coordinating conjunction. Now, coordinating conjunctions are and, but, or, nor, for, so, and yet. And I like to tell students, try to get that in your head. Kind of say it over and over again. And, but, or, nor, for, so, and yet. Say that again. And, but, or, nor, for, so, and yet. Repeat it again. And, but, or, nor, for, so, and yet. These are these connectors, but I want you to notice something very important. There's a punctuation mark that will always be present when you're joining one sentence to another sentence, okay? If not, you're going to create a run-on. So if you forget this comma, you have just created a run-on sentence, because a run-on sentence means that you ran one sentence directly into another sentence and you forgot to punctuate it. Okay? So, I want you to understand that while we are learning that you use coordinating conjunctions, we're also learning that the coordinating conjunction doesn't work by itself. You have to have a comma and a coordinating conjunction. So, comma and, comma but, comma or, comma nor, comma for, comma so, comma yet. That's not easy to say. All that together. You follow me? So this is a team. This is a team. They work together. And what did I just tell you? If you forget the punctuation, then you might as well have not watched this lesson, because you haven't learned what you need to learn. So, joining of two sentences together, sentence to the left and sentence to the right, and the conjunction, the coordinating conjunction, is joining the two sentences together. Okay? So let's take a look at an example, the first example. The online environment is very challenging. That's my first sentence. I have a subject, I have a verb, is, and I have a complete thought. What is the online environment? It's very challenging. Second sentence. It is also beneficial. It is my subject. It's a pronoun. Is my verb. And what is it? It's beneficial. So if we pass the test. I have a sentence to my left, a sentence to my right. And what did we just say? We're going to use a coordinated conjunction, the one that makes sense, but remember, it has to work with what? A comma. You cannot forget that. It's extremely important. If you don't remember anything else, remember that. You must use a coordinating conjunction with a comma. Comma goes in front of the coordinating conjunction. So now I want you to focus on the position of the comma. It goes in front of the coordinating conjunction, not behind it, but in front of it. Okay? Position is very important. I don't want you to put your commas back here. That's crazy. You need to put your comma in front of the coordinating conjunction. And I also need you to understand that this is a signal. You know how we have traffic lights? You know, red means stop, yellow means what? Not go. It's supposed to mean slow down and stop, and the green means to go. Well, what you have to understand is that when we write, there are also symbols. So when we see a comma with a coordinated conjunction, it actually symbolizes something. And believe it or not, what it symbolizes is that you're joining two sentences. That is a symbol. It actually means something. The comma with a coordinated conjunction, okay, unless you're making a list or something, but a comma with a coordinated conjunction means that you have a sentence to the left and a sentence to the what? Exactly, to the right. So let's take a look at another example. I attend the University of Phoenix online. For, I am currently pursuing my master's degree and enjoy the flexibility that the program offers. So, first question you need to ask yourself is, do I have a sentence to the left? Let's take a look. I attend. That's a subject. I have my verb. And what does this individual attend? The University of Phoenix online. For, comma plus for. Remember, that's a signal. Because so when you see the comma in the for, I better see what? A sentence to the right. If I don't see a sentence to the right, we have a problem. So let's take a look at what's happening after the word for. I am currently pursuing my master's degree. So that, in fact, and enjoy the flexibility of the program. It's just a longer, extended, complete thought. So yes, I have a subject I, a verb am, right? Am currently pursuing, all of that. My master's degree. You see that? So we have two sentences, and are they joined correctly together? Yes, they are. Again, you need to understand this is a signal. The joining of two sentences together. Alright? So that's the first method. You use a coordinated conjunction along with a comma. Let's take a look at method number 2. Method number 2 is attempting to join two or more sentences together with a transitional device. Okay, students, let me just say this to you. It's important. Remember we talked about how you learned this in elementary school? To move your writing to the next level, right, which is method number 2, will take you from writing on the elementary level. And by the way, I'm not saying that every time you write using and or but or nor and for is elementary writing. But what I need you to understand about it is this. We are pretty confident that you know how to write using this kind of setup. Especially and but. We use these words all the time. Nor and for are a little bit more sophisticated, yet it's definitely sophisticated, and so is so. So, depending upon your style and how you're writing it, can make it seem very educated, right, and very advanced. But what we're saying to you is that we want you to move beyond this standard kind of setup for your sentences. So while we're saying it's fine to use this, and we like you and we're encouraging the use, we're also saying that you need to have variety and you need to begin to use more transitions in your writing. Okay? Your transitions help us to move our thoughts, to show patterns and connections between ideas in a much more creative and innovative way. And stylistically, it can definitely be much better. Okay? So one of the things I want to stress to you is this. When you write, you need to always have a transition list in front of you until you get very comfortable with using transitions when you write. Okay? That's very, very important. So first, you need to understand that the importance of learning transitions. So I always encourage students to find at least 10 to 15 transitions that you know off the bat you like to use them all the time. Okay, like for example, however is a very popular one with students. Okay, conversely, nonetheless, regardless, therefore, consequently, in comparison, likewise, similarly. Also, but it's overused. Also is overused. Okay. For example, for instance, but we have different transitions that mean different things. And here is a really good start for you if you wanted to add a thought, right, to something. If you want to compare two things, you want to show contrast, a difference in thought. So you can see that when you begin to use transitions, it does advance your level of writing tremendously. So I want to say this, and I want to make sure it's very clear. If you are currently writing without transitions, automatically, do you know that your instructor can say, or other people looking at your paper, that you're not writing on the college level? Did you know that? Because writing with transitions and knowing how to use transitions is a sign of an advanced writer. Okay? It's one of the signs. It's not the only thing, but it's extremely critical that you use them. So that's why I'm kind of really going over this with you, because it's something that you need to understand that's very, very important. So the second method of a compound sentence, let's see if I can advance. I'm going to walk you through how to actually use this. The second method will show you how to use transitions in the middle to join two complete sentences. Here's the great news. The sentence structure didn't change. We have a sentence to the left and a sentence to the right. The only difference is that now we're moving from what you learned in elementary school, which is this connection, to a more advanced way of writing a compound sentence, right? We said both can be used. All right. So let's take a look. We have a sentence to the left, subject, verb, complete thought, and we're joining it with a sentence to the right. Another subject, another verb, and another complete thought. But notice what we're doing now, and I really want you to zoom in to the actual punctuation around that transition. This is not just about the transition. Remember earlier when we were talking about coordinated conjunctions, and, but, or, nor, for, so, and yet, I said to you and I stressed to you that you must have what in front of that coordinated conjunction? Good. The comma. They work as a what? Team. So now you've got to remember something else. As we move on to method 2, notice that the transition has two punctuation marks around it. To the left you have what? That's called the semicolon. Then you have the transition, like however, and then following the transition, what do you have? A comma. This is something, guys, you have to study. This is not something you're just going to always remember. You have to study it. So if I have a sentence to the left and a sentence to the right, again, this is a signal. And I have a semicolon. A semicolon is only used when we join two sentences together. It symbolizes that that is happening. And if you have a semicolon but you don't have a sentence to the left and a sentence to the right, it's incorrect. So I have a semicolon, then I have a transition, and then what do I have? Comma. These three things work as a team, as a trio. Okay? So let's take a look at some examples. Educational research is a growing field. Semicolon, in fact, comma. Many scholars feel that it is the wave of the future. So let's take a look at this sentence again. Educational research is a growing field. In fact, many scholars feel that it is the wave of the future. The first thing I want to bring to your attention is this. Do you notice how this sentence advanced in terms of its level of sophistication because the transition is being used instead of a coordinated conjunction? It just sounds better, you know? Educational research is a growing field. In fact, many scholars feel it is the wave of the future. Great sentence, okay? But again, notice the trio effect. Notice that we have semicolon, transition, comma, semicolon, transition, comma. And we have to make sure that the transition makes sense in the sentence, okay? Let's take a look at the next example. Grant writing is a fundamental skill that effective managers need to acquire. semicolon, as a result, comma, many administrators are seeking professional development opportunities in the area. So the first thing we want to do is see if we have a sentence to the left. Grant writing, that's my subject, right? Think about the normal cadence of sentences. Subject, what's my verb? Very good. Is, we talked about that in the lesson on simple sentences. Grant writing is what? Grant writing is a fundamental skill that effective managers need to acquire. That's my full, extended, complete thought. As a result, many administrators, what's many administrators? Very good. Subject. Are, what's are? Good. That's your verb, right? We talked about that. Go back. If you're struggling with why is are a subject, why is are a verb? If you're asking yourself that question, right, or are seeking, if you're asking yourself that question, then you need to go back and watch my video on simple sentences, because I do cover that. Many administrators are seeking professional development opportunities in the area, right? So are seeking professional development opportunities in the area. So we do have two sentences. We've established that. So we need to use our semicolon, transition, and comma. Remember, this is a trio effect, right? You need to do three things. Semicolon first, transition second, and then comma third. Okay? Note the position of the semicolon and the comma and do not confuse. I noticed that a lot of students will confuse that and put the comma first and then the semicolon. Again, that just means you need to study more. This is something you have to study, guys, because this is not something you're born knowing. You have to study this. This is what you have to study and practice writing these sentences. Practice, 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 and you'll get it. Note the position of the semicolon and the comma. The semicolon is considered a strong punctuation mark because it can join two complete sentences together. Okay? Remember, semicolons are used to connect two or more sentences. Therefore, you will never see this. Let's take a look at some bad examples. Class is scheduled to run for 4 weeks. In fact, it starts tonight. Take a look. It looks like this sentence is perfectly fine, except because you see the transition in the middle. But if you notice the punctuation to the left, what's that? That's a comma. You can't use a comma in this situation. This is not a coordinating conjunction. Remember, commas work with coordinating conjunctions, not transitions. Okay, in this way. Now, the only way that you would be able to use a comma, in fact, comma, is if you didn't have a sentence over here. Now, if you're joining an incomplete sentence, you can use comma, comma. But, in fact, it starts tonight is actually a full sentence. Okay? Because it is what? A subject. Okay? Now, so don't confuse coordinating conjunctions like and, but, or, nor, and for with transitions. You know, remember, they are different. So look at the example, study the example. Study this pattern, it never changes. When you attempt to join two or more sentences with a transitional device in the method, semicolon, transition, comma. Semicolon, transition, comma. Again, this is something you have to study and practice. And what I would like you to do is, at the end of this lesson, I want you to practice writing the 3 types of compound sentences. Now, let's talk about the final type of compound sentence. Okay? Let's move on. The third type is the joining of two very strong related sentences through the use of the semicolon itself. Okay? Through the use of the semicolon by itself. Okay, and I'm trying to... Here we go. The third and final way to join compound sentences is a little less complex. You simply write the two strongly related sentences and join them with a semicolon right in the middle. So, you know, the semicolon is a very, very strong punctuation mark. There are really no other punctuation marks besides the period. And the period doesn't join sentences. Periods what? They end sentences. So the semicolon is the only punctuation mark that we can use that will merge two sentences together just by using a punctuation mark. Okay? So let's take a look at that actual method, and it's right here. The curriculum needs assessing. It is in bad need of repair. So if you notice, we have used a semicolon by itself to join two very strongly connected thoughts together. Now you have to understand something. This is not something that we would use all the time because it creates a very dramatic sentence, right? The curriculum needs assessing. It is in bad need of repair. You can feel the strength of that sentence. Or they hate each other. They are getting a divorce. You want to put those two thoughts, those two strongly connected thoughts together. You can use a semicolon to do it. And that is the third type. So let's go back through the examples. Method number one. You remember, you use a comma to join, a comma in a coordinating conjunction like and, but, or, nor, for, so, and yet, to join two sentences together. Method number two, again, and notice that I'm using the same sentence in the example. Some research findings are easy to interpret, but other findings can be confusing. The sentence will not change, but what I'm going to do is show you that every time that I'm going to show you as I introduce a new method that the way I connect the two sentences is the only thing that's changing. Excuse me. So in method number one, we use the elementary method, which is comma plus the coordinating conjunction. In method number two, we use the upper high school level, and we're going to use a transition. Some research findings are easy to interpret. Remember, position number one, semicolon. Position number two, insert the transition. Position number three, insert the comma. Semicolon, transition, comma. Method number three, some research findings are easy to interpret. Here, we just take out all of it. We don't need the coordinating conjunction, and we also don't need the in contrast. And we put our semicolon, and then we are done. I hope that you have learned how to write three types of sentences, but really you haven't learned that. You've learned what the components are, but the only way you can learn to write the three types of compound sentences is that you actually practice them. That's how I've learned, that's how other people have learned, and that's what you need to do. So what I want you to do is first, remember earlier when I was talking about method number two, which is using transitions? You can't use transitions if you don't know them. Okay? So learn 10 to 15 that you would like to learn to advance your writing level, and practice writing and joining two sentences together. Okay? And then of course, the third example was the semicolon by itself. Remember, we don't use this sentence a lot. We use it to show passion and to demonstrate ideas and to draw attention to something. Okay? But they're all three very excellent ways to vary your sentence type. Okay? If you have additional questions about compound sentences, see your instructor, or please come to our Writing Center for additional tutoring. Thank you.